I guarantee that there is no political influence in any investigation conducted by the Justice Department or the FBI.
The Clinton Foundation investigation, the FBI investigation of the email, you're saying zero chance that this is a problem for you in this election?
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. That happens to be the truth.
President Obama telling Fox News Sunday in April there are no politics involved in the investigation into Hillary Clinton's private server. And Clinton this week telling me it won't affect her run for the White House. We're back now with our panel. Julie, what about that? I mean, she's had arguably, if you even talk to anybody who's running against her, a pretty good week politically. But this is still lingering and hanging over the Clinton campaign.
She's had probably her strongest week of this primary season. Not only did she essentially put Bernie Sanders away, but she got very quickly President Obama, Vice President Biden, Senator Warren to rally around her. I think you're going to see Senator Sanders in the next couple of days meeting with her and likely backing her as well. At the same time, if you look over these next 5 months, the biggest challenge that Hillary Clinton will have will likely be this perception that she is not honest, that she is not trustworthy. And it's not necessarily about one matter. It's not just the emails. It's not just the Clinton Foundation. It is this general impression that if the Clintons are back in the White House, that these types of things will continue. And if the election becomes a referendum on that, then I think that she's going to be in trouble. Obviously, her campaign is going to try to make this about Donald Trump and not these issues. And that will be one of the questions that we have to ask going forward. What is this about?
Bret, the latest Fox News poll shows that more than a third of Democrats think that Hillary Clinton lied about her emails. 64% of independents say she's lying about her emails. That's politically a problem.
Politicians as a whole are not trusted and are thought to be habitual liars. But her numbers on this are sort of over the moon. And it embodies the paradox of this campaign, which is that each candidate is the other's best hope. Hillary Clinton with her untrustworthy reputation for being untrustworthy, Donald Trump with his very high negatives, each represent the other's best chance. And that was perfectly illustrated when you asked Amy Klobuchar to identify what it was that Hillary Clinton would do differently from Barack Obama on the economy. And she answered by talking about Donald Trump and what he might do. That's what we're in for. And that's where this goes. Whether she's indicted or not, she's going to carry this burden of not being trusted into the general election. No question about it. Whether Trump's negatives on that and other issues, this trustworthiness, will be enough to deliver her the election is the question.
So, to Bret's point, Juan, who can make the other candidate more untrustworthy or paint them in a way that affects voters' thoughts about that is better positioned to win?
Without a doubt. I mean, that's why this is going to be a real, dirtbag type campaign. I mean, I think you already see the kind of
put that in quotes? Or?
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. You guys look at the advertising, look how the money's being spent, and it's, for example, on the Hillary Clinton side, putting out ads using Trump's words against Trump as he makes obnoxious statements about one group of people or another. The question, I think, is, well, knowing that Hillary Clinton had a good week, but that her numbers remain highly negative, so what are the chances that she would be indicted? We've seen no indication at this point from FBI, from legal authorities, no leaks in the press that, an indictment is pending. To the contrary, it would seem that if someone was going to do that, you would have heard something, especially with the conventions approaching and before the highly politicized general election season.
We don't have a timing, George, but we do have these nuggets about the actual emails and the classified nature of them and what they discuss and the CIA personnel and the drone operations. And more every day we seem to get little things that suggest that maybe there's more there.
And we don't have a timetable, but Director Comey of the FBI is a big boy, and he's vastly experienced in Washington. And he knows this is taking place in the context of the selection of the next chief executive. So it's inconceivable to me that they're not going to act with more than deliberate speed on this. So much attention has been focused on this, however, that I think she stands to win big if nothing happens. That is, if there's no criminal referral sent to the Justice Department. Because people will say, this took a long time, it was extremely thorough, they found nothing. That's the way it will be presented. This is a binary choice, yes or no. And the way it comes out, it was potentially very good for her.
You know, Julie, we see these stories about Donald Trump and how he ran his businesses, the casinos, and the allegations that he didn't pay people to finish work. But on the flip side, the Clintons have all of this Clinton Foundation stuff, the laureate education that hasn't even been delved into yet. I asked Senator Klobuchar about it. Is it a wash when it comes to the public and looking at the backstories here?
It might end up being that. That might be the effect of that. There are so many stories on both sides about so much money floating around that really for most Americans is just inconceivable to think about. I do think that the argument that the Clintons are going to make about Donald Trump in some of these stories is that the controversies are focused on him trying to hurt or con average Americans, and that they will say that that is the difference, that he is creating businesses like Trump University or not paying contractors for some of his casinos, and that the fallout is on average Americans while he benefits. So I think that that is where they're going to try to push that storyline with Trump.
But the Trump people are going to push the Clinton Foundation line.
Of course they are. And isn't it interesting, Bret, that now that Trump is officially the nominee, we know he has it. That stories that were lying out there to be picked up off the street, like the stories about the people who got hurt in his bankruptcies while he prospered, stories about, you know, his refusal to pay contractors on time and trying to chisel down the payments that he's, you know, contracted to make in his building projects and so forth. They're suddenly appearing, you know, they're flourishing everywhere. They could have been done earlier. One has suspicions as to why they were held.
Last thing, Juan, we look at a lot of polls, but Gallup has a poll out about the president's job approval rating, now up to 53%. At this time, George W. Bush was in the 20s in 2008. Is that a sign that Democrats are well positioned for Hillary Clinton, no matter what kind of candidate she is?
Well, you and I both know historically that the president's approval rating, when it's he's seen, you know, for his party, is a key indicator of the success, likely success of his party going into that election. So very good news at the moment for Hillary Clinton.
Panel, that's all the time we have. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all next week.